welcome again to another series of the Philip Academy. Today we'll be looking at chemistry. What we want to look at is enthalpy of a chemical reaction. Now, what is enthalpy? Enthalpy is the amount of heat that is actually absorbed or evolved during a chemical reaction. We hear reactions being termed as being endothermic or exothermic. What do we mean by a reaction being endothermic? And what do we mean by when it is what? Exothermic. An endothermic reaction is that reaction that conserves heat energy, meaning that does not allow heat energy to be released to the surrounding environment. How do we calculate this? How do we know the enthalpy of such a chemical reaction? Now this is how we're going to do it. Here is the energy profile of a typical endothermic reaction. Endothermic reaction. Okay, now what do we have? We have the energy axis and we have what? The reaction axis. Okay, this is how we go about it. Alright? I have the 50, I have the 100, I have the 150. All in what? In kilojoule per mole. Okay, now this is how we do it. This is our enthalpy of the reaction. This is how we get it. Now, how do we do this? To calculating the enthalpy of a chemical reaction, it is simply the difference between the heat content of the product and the heat content of the reactant. Now, what do we see? This is the region for your reactant, and this is the region for your product. So, how do we do this? Let's calculate this. For the product, what do we have? What is the value of the energy? We are having what? 100 kilojoule per mole. For the reactant, what do we have? We have what? 50 kilojoule per mole. So the difference between these will give us what? 50 kilojoule per mole. And it's what? It's a positive value. So the enthalpy of what? An endothermic reaction is set to be what? Positive. This is how we calculate the enthalpy of a chemical reaction for an endothermic reaction. Now let's see another case where we're having what? An exothermic reaction, where heat is actually what? Lost to the environment. How do we do this? Let's go. Okay, now we have here our reactant, the same thing we have here as our product. This is what we get. Now, how do we find this? We want to calculate the enthalpy of what? A chemical reaction that is said to be what? Exothermic. So we go again. The difference between what? The heat content of the product and that of what? The reactant. For the product, what do we have? We have 50 here. And for the reactant, what do we have? We have 100. So the difference between this will simply give us 50 kilojoule per mole. Meaning that the enthalpy of what? An endothermic reaction is set to what? Negative. This is how we do this calculation. See you in our next one.